We're back tonight here in Focus. The last and final state capture report has been handed over to the presidency. One cannot underestimate the role played by whistleblowers in blowing up the lid on the extent of corruption and greed across public and private sectors. Few people know the sense of anguish and betrayal like former South African Airways Group Treasurer and whistleblower Cynthia Stimpel. She joins us now to share her thoughts on the latest report and what it means. Cynthia, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us. Had it not been for the likes of yourself, Trillion whistleblower, Musilo Mutepu, Arthur Williams, I can think of a couple, Temba Masego, WC Jonas, Fakey Mentor, and so on and so forth. Do you think we would be talking at this particular point of a state capture report, at least at the level where it is right now? I mean, the Chief Justice saying we could not cover all the terms of reference, but this is where we are now.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me for this interview. I think if it wasn't for whistleblowers, we would not have had the amount of evidence and reporting that we've had that's been collected over the past almost 3 years with the State Capture Commission. The whistleblowers played a very important role in the State Capture Commission, firstly by giving the evidence, by standing up and saying we will not allow to be part. When whistleblowers stand up and say that they don't want any part, they are retaliated against, they are victimized. And this is where we find we're at a really sad situation. In the case of Dr. De Meyer a week ago, when he wrote an open letter regarding the conditions of Rahima Musa Hospital, he was then suspended, and it was only because of public outcry that he was reinstated. Yet he was still being sanctioned by given a written warning that he shouldn't be on social media. So for me, the role that whistleblowers play, the contributions they have made to this country, to the State Capture Commission, and not only that, there are many others that are also involved in the private sector that have spoken out and subsequently suffered retaliation and victimization. It's really, really important that whistleblowers be recognized and acknowledged for the role that they played in the Zondo report.
Yeah, and looking at, for lack of a better word, the tardiness, maybe one you could even say the inaction in wrapping up this issue of amending the protection disclosure laws. And have we learned anything in the last 3 years?
You know, that's actually a very sore point for all of us, because there's been many recommendations made directly to the Department of Justice about changing the whistleblower laws, and also recommendations of what should be changed because they're just not working. This, however, has obviously not happened. So I think we need to follow a new path in trying to get those whistleblower laws changed. Our whistleblower laws we currently have is quite a few. There's the Protected Disclosures Act, there's the Harassment Act, there's the PRECA Act. So quite a few. And the Companies Act states specifically has a section there regarding whistleblowing. So for me right now is that our organizations, firstly, do not take the Protected Disclosures Act seriously, and they would rather charge whistleblowers with trumped-up charges than acknowledge that they have stated something's not correct in this company, we're not following procedures and processes and governance, and therefore we need to do something about it. Instead, they try to kill the messenger. And again, if I refer to the De Meyer case, that was a clear case in point. So yes, where the whistleblower protection legislation is concerned, there's a lot of work to be done. There are currently civil society activism working on this legislation, and hope that we can get it done and presented again, to Department of Justice and perhaps other avenues to ensure that we do make changes to this legislation. Because to date, it hasn't helped anyone. We've seen that. Someone like Babita Deokaran, having worked with the SIU, still got killed. Many others in the KZN local government have been murdered. So we've even had a case in Parliament where there was a parliamentary suicide. The person was so frustrated that he committed suicide. Mr. Gurani, Lennox Gurani. Their stories are forgotten, and we cannot allow the stories of these whistleblowers to be forgotten, and hence the legislation needs to be changed.
Yeah. And Cynthia, I don't know if any of the whistleblowers would feel vindicated at this particular point in time with maybe no arrests yet, or maybe some arrests that we are seeing, but of course these particular cases still going through the court process. Do you at this stage sit back and say, well, we feel vindicated that we actually spoke out?
Look, it's a matter of your own personal conscience. It's a matter of your own personal values and beliefs. And so once you've spoken out, you feel vindicated. I felt vindicated even though I lost my job. And I felt I could put my head on my pillow and I could sleep at night, that I wasn't implicated in any wrongdoing. However, some people may have no conscience at all, and for them, they do not see that they've done anything wrong. And so where whistleblowers are concerned, it's a longer and harder path because, yes, you know you've done the right thing, but what you didn't know and did not expect was the repercussions which face you after speaking out. So many, like, let's talk about Athol Williams, who has A, lost his job at UCT, B, couldn't get any other lecturer post in South Africa, and C, had to leave the country for fear of his life. So it was challenges which he did not expect at all. If you read the books of Themba Maseko or hear them speak and Msilo Motepo, they will tell you that what they've suffered and the challenges, irrespective that they are experienced people, that they did well in their positions, and yet they struggled. Yeah. So there is that knock-on effect after whistleblowing. So it's not an easy path. So yes, whistleblowers who gave evidence at the Zondo Commission will say, I'm very happy I did that and that I spoke out. But obviously there's the knock-on effect and the challenges which we all face.
Cynthia, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your reflection and coming on tonight. Cynthia Stimpel, she is the Executive Director of the Whistleblower House, former Group Treasurer also at South African Airways.